Live, good day, everybody. Sell a house, wholesale real estate investing, number 173, new op day, October, what is this, the 5th? Wow, 2015. It really blows my mind how quickly the days fly by. It was the end of September, and that's already the 5th, 25 days left. It's just amazing. I don't know. I'm sure you must feel the same thing. So today, I just want to welcome everybody again. If you don't mind, let me take one quick second here to send an invite. There we go. And we are looking at, what is this? I'm going to have to take this off the noisemaker there so I don't be continually being distracted by it. And today we're looking at the How to Win Friends and Influence People, of course, as we talked about right there, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Powerful book. As I mentioned in the little message about today's hangout, this book is really all about the heart and soul of your success at pretty much anything you do in this world and in this lifetime, because your success really is and really does hinge upon your ability to relate to other people. So if you have the ability to win friends and influence people, doesn't it just make sense that your success would be greater in life? And if you look around at just everyday folks, you really can see that, people really have especially after you've read this book and you kind of understand, even just reading through it one time and getting the core sort of elemental basics, the fundamental thoughts, the principal foundation out of this book, without even really understanding in depth how powerful and how much effect these types of things can have on people. Just reading through this book one time, and then, like I said, just looking at everyday folk and listening, especially to everyday folk, because most of what this is all about is really the words that you choose and how you use them. And if you listen to most people, like I said, everyday folks, with a little bit of knowledge out of this book, you'll really understand that we don't know how to properly relate to other people in a manner that's going to, manifest success in everyone, in yourself and in others. What this book is really all about is sort of kind of how to get other people to do things for you, and in also, how to get them to sort of instill within themselves the pride and enthusiasm to want to do those things for you. And and that's beneficial to both parties, because obviously you're going to be able to get what you want, done, or whatever the case is. But it's beneficial to the other party as well too, because like I said, it gives inside of them, a great powerful feeling of, pride and importance and joy and enthusiasm, and and all good feelings, opposed to stress and regret and anger and hatred and whatever else, whatever other kind of negative feelings that they might feel about having to do something or being coerced to do something for somebody else. And that's just think about that. I mean, so many people out there in the working environment are just, pounded, do this, do this, do this, shut up and do this, kind of an attitude. And, they just, drone through their day just hating it because they haven't been, instilled with a sense of pride and joy and importance that makes them want to do what it is that, you know, their employer wants them to do. And so I mean, that just means a lot of people out there running around unhappy, pretty much is what it means. And just imagine the power if every employer had the ability to instill within their employees the enthusiasm and excitement and energy and happiness and fun and whatever else that, you know, put behind the idea of completing their work. Just think about that. If every employer had the ability to instill that within their employees, how would that affect the workforce in this country? And how would that affect how, you know, you are seeing the masses of people out there going through their day? I've been watching people fairly recently, just in general, you know, daily routine activities, and it's so depressing. People are so just down and negative and unhappy, and you can just see it all just running through their core, this unhappiness. Now, I mean, if you were to ask them, you know, why are you so unhappy? They're obviously not going to give you that answer, because people don't really don't really seek their true emotion to be able to express what that is. But the whole idea of just being able to have happiness and joy exuding from you, oops, um, just because, that's pretty powerful. And if the whole workforce was being transitioned into that, because all the employers and managers and everything like that knew how to instill that sense of pride. And I mean, and it shows in the work too. It shows in the quality, it shows in the performance, you know, it shows in the pay scale, because, you know, how many people are actually doing something extra to perform that much more just to, you know, get ahead and do something more. So anyway, the next thing that we talked about here, I think we actually touched on this part. We touched on how you know, the people's hunger for a feeling of importance. And this, by the way, is out of chapter 2, which is in of section 1. Let me back up 1 second here. Section 1 is, oh, there we go. Section 1 is the fundamental techniques of handling people. Chapter 1, as we talked about, was if you want to gather honey, you don't kick over the beehive. And that is basically about not upsetting people and angering people and instilling, God, I don't know why that word is just resentment, instilling resentment in people, to you because of criticism. People don't like to be criticized, and which leads us down the road of saying, is there any such thing as, you know, constructive criticism? You know, I would have said yes in the past, but now I say no. Any criticism is destructive, period. There can be no such thing as constructive criticism. So the next thing is the big secret of dealing with people, and this chapter begins with the whole idea of our internal desires, you know, basically being twofold. I mean, the desire for sexual satisfaction and the desire to feel important. They break it down here that our strongest human cravings are health, and the preservation of life. Obviously, that's probably number one. The preservation of our life is probably our greatest craving. Food, sleep, money, and the things that money will buy, life in the hereafter, sexual gratification, the well-being of our children, and a feeling of importance. The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. So even out of the preservation of life and food and sleep and sexual gratification and the life in the hereafter and our children and money and the things that it can buy, our most burning desire is for that of appreciation. We just want to be appreciated in this world. Imagine if you went out and appreciated other people, how just that, and did it without criticizing them. There's the first two lessons right there. Appreciate other people without criticizing them, and just imagine how those two things right there alone is going to have an effect on how people view you as a person and how people will respond to you as a person and how people might be willing to do things for you as a person and how people might like you as a person and how people might, come to feel that they actually know you a little bit just because of the fact that you appreciated them and and didn't criticize them actually builds a feeling of knowing, even though they may not know anything besides your first name and that you're their boss. They may not really know anything about you, but the fact that you have appreciated them automatically in their minds, you know, gives them the feeling that you understand them, you know them, so they know you. That's a really powerful thing. And obviously that leads to a huge feeling of trust. So, you're building up, what's the first one I just said? Oh, you're building up the fact that they like you. You're building up the fact that they know you, they feel they know you, and that they feel that they can trust you. And those three things are the keys to successful dealing with other people, is instilling those emotions into other people. And that's how you can build up their feelings of power and like and wanting to do things and all of that. So I think I got to skip ahead now back to where I was here because I'm not quite sure where we left off last new off day with this, but we did talk about, yeah, that's right, we did talk about the fact of people actually going insane over the lack of their feeling of importance in life. Okay, just trying to figure out where we're at here. Okay, I consider my ability to arouse enthusiasm among my people the greatest asset I propose. And the way to develop the best that is in a person is by appreciation and encouragement. There's nothing else that so kills the ambition of a person as criticism from superiors. I never criticize anyone. I believe in giving a person incentive to work. Also, I am anxious to praise, but loath to find fault. If I like anything, if I like anything, I'm hearty in my appreciation and lavish in my praise. One of the most successful motivators of men who helped Andrew Carnegie build his steel empire and make him one of the richest men in the world, Charles M. Schwab. And this is why, I don't know if you guys remember these old commercials, but Schwab is a brokerage house now, and this is kind of where, When Charles Schwab talks, people listen. And that's because this, way back in the day, Charles M. Schwab had the ability to entice people to arouse enthusiasm among people, is what he writes here. That's what he himself said, what I just read there. He had the ability to arouse enthusiasm in other people, and enthusiasm is what basically I was just talking about. That is how you get anyone to kind of do whatever you want for you, is by arousing their enthusiasm, getting them excited, and they want to. And the way to do that is by, lavishing, being hearty in appreciation and lavishing in praise and encouragement and not criticizing. I have no idea what this next line, no idea what this next line even means right now. He goes on to say that in my wide association in life, meeting with many and great people in various parts of the world, I have yet to find the person, however great or exalted his station, who did not do better work and put forth greater effort under a spirit of approval than he would ever do under a spirit of criticism. That, he said frankly, was one of the outstanding reasons for the phenomenal success of Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie praised his associates publicly as well as privately. So, like I say, that is powerful stuff right there. Continuous praise and appreciation may not have much effect in the very beginning that is visible to you, but over time, especially, it will go. This goes back to, I don't know if I ever talked about it on this particular hangout, but my little, what I call graph of life, and I've got a picture around here somewhere of it, but I don't have it right now. But basically, the graph of life goes kind of like this. Starts off pretty flat, rises up a little bit, and then shoots up to the top. And that's how everything progresses. And even something like this right here, building someone's enthusiasm, is the same thing. Your lavish praise and appreciation, you may not see any effect from it at first. It might start out very flat and hardly doing anything, but then after a while, you'll start to see a little bit. All of a sudden, there's, somebody's doing something that you didn't ask them to do. They just take it upon themselves to get it done because they know that, hey, it's the next thing that has to get done, and they just go after it. How many people do you know at the job where you work that actually look for the next thing to do instead of looking for the end of what it is that they're doing so that they can sit back and do nothing until told what the next thing is to do? You know what I mean? How many people will actually finish off the first thing and then actually take it upon themselves to look for the next thing? To be like, okay, that's done. What's next? Where do I go? Okay, boom, here it is. This looks like it needs to be done. I'm going to start working on that. And even if that's not the next thing to be done, who cares? At least, hey, they pulled something out of the blue, got started working on it. You might come up and you say, hey, whoa, wait a minute. That's not really the next thing we need to be doing, but thank you very much for taking the initiative to get out there and just get started right into that. I'm going to take what you've done here, pass it over to Susie, because this is what she needs to be working on. And this is great because it'll give her a little bit of a jump start here with what you've done. Great work here. Thank you very much for that. And, why don't you turn around and get started on this right here? And they'd be like, oh, yeah. Yeah, okay, great. And then that'll inspire. I mean, just think how that would inspire you know, that person to then maybe, you know, the next day or later on in the afternoon or whatever, when they get through their project or they got a few minutes of time or whatnot, and they go over to Susie and they're all excited. Hey, Susie, did you get a chance to get started on that little project that I actually got started for you? You know, and they'll want to, you know, instill camaraderie within each other to say, you know, and I mean, unless Susie's just a real nasty person and she's like, you know, oh yeah, yeah, what you did was wrong. You know, I mean, unless she's that kind of a person, Susie might be, oh yeah, you know, that was great. Yeah, I mean, I had to get going on that, and you had already put together the first little piece. That was great, and you know, and then the other person might be, well, do you think, you know, they might have an idea. They might have an idea that they throw at Susie and go, well, you know what? I mean, just because of where I got into it, that I was kind of thinking that this, and this, and Susie might go, oh, wow, you know what? Well, yeah, I was kind of thinking this, but now that you mentioned that, that could really be good, and we could do that, and it builds camaraderie and collaboration, you know, in just that kind of a manner. So imagine if everybody at your work, instead of dull drumming around and waiting to be told what the next thing to do was, actually sought out and looked for and took it upon themselves to initiate something that appears to them to be the next thing. Pretty powerful stuff, isn't it? And look at the happiness and joy that that could potentially bring. He talks about how these things are what, you know, made Andrew Carnegie a phenomenal success. And it even, you know, he wrote his epitaph for himself, which read, "Here lies one who knows how to get around. Here lies one who knows how to get around him men who were cleverer than himself." Okay, I mean, just in the wording of that, if Andrew Carnegie wrote that, that should tell you that, you know, yeah, he was um, not the smartest, you know, not the smartest person in the world. I mean, just the writing of that. And yeah, this was years ago, and thing and writing was a little bit different, but still, here lies one who knew how to get around him men who were cleverer than himself. You know, that could certainly be written another way to where it flows a little better, but you get the point here. He knew how to get smarter men to surround him, from which he could draw off of their energy and knowledge to improve and grow and become successful. That's a powerful thing. Let's see, where are we at here? I'm not quite sure. I didn't get a chance. I'm sorry. I didn't get a chance to get some study in and really be good prepared for this. So I'm just kind of going with it page by page and looking at what I've highlighted in the past. So it's not quite flowing and making great sense, but I'm going to go and just head and read this one piece right here. It says, according to this silly story, a farm woman at the end of a heavy day's work set before her menfolks a heaping pile of hay. And when they indignantly demanded whether she had gone crazy, she said, why, how did I know you'd notice? I've been cooking for you men for the last 20 years, and in all that time, I ain't heard no word to let me know you wasn't just eating hay. So just a little bit of praise, right? I mean, and that is a funny story. You know, she just, without ever receiving one bit of appreciation from these men after serving them these meals for 20 years, you know, nothing, you know, okay, here's a pile of hay. I mean, obviously you don't care what I put in front of you. You know, it doesn't make any difference what this food is. But then all of a sudden, oh, then they notice, hey, wait a second, this isn't food, this is hay. And that's when they bring it up, and she throws it right back at them, is that, you know, how, well, how would I know? How would I know that what you've been eating for 20 years wasn't hay? I never heard a word about the food. That is a funny story. I like that story. A study made about runaway wives, why wives pretty much leave their men. The main reason that wives run away was the lack of appreciation. Because we often take our spouses so much for granted that we never let them know we appreciate them. And that is very true. That is very, very, very true. We become so comfortable, especially, with the people around us, our spouses, our children, and things like that. Daily life becomes so routine and kind of habitual that we don't show any appreciation for the simple things that get done daily on a routine basis. I mean, when's the last time you thanked your wife for non-skid marked skivvies? I mean, that's something that she painstakingly has to go through, and she's the one that's got to deal with looking at your skid marks. and and she goes through the hassle of doing whatever needs to be done to prepare those and get them into the washer and get them all cleaned up so they can go back in your drawer and you can pull them out of your drawer all nice and clean again. That's kind of a nasty job, A little appreciation for something like that might go a real long way for the little woman there. And the same thing about, just as this lady just said here about cooking meals, the same thing goes for, making the bed, vacuuming the floor, taking care of the kids, I mean, especially if she's working as well too. If she's the one that makes the meals all the time, and in today's world, a lot of couples, we're talking about two people working families in today's world, just because that's the only way you can make enough money. Um, if she's out there working and then she has to come home and make the meals, and all you do is come home and sit on the couch and crack a beer and turn on the game, it might be a little beneficial for you to show a little appreciation for that meal, even if it's just the fact that you get up out of that chair at some point in time during a commercial. I would imagine it would probably even be even more powerful if she actually heard the game was still going on, that it wasn't a commercial. But if you just walked into the kitchen, walked up behind, give her a little hug, give her a little peck on the neck, and and just say, hey, just wanted to say thanks for putting this dinner together. It really smells great. Turn around, walk out of the kitchen, go back and sit down in your chair. Just think how far something like that could go. A little appreciation goes a real long way. And I'll tell you, I know I am one who lacked in that department, especially, yes, when it comes to the immediate sort of family, the appreciation of what's immediately around you. So we're only a little ways into chapter 2 here. We're on page 26, and that is from starting at page 19. We've still got about 5 or 6 more pages to go, if I'm not mistaken, in there. So we'll be back here next New Op Day, and I will definitely have an opportunity to be more prepared a little bit so that we can actually get through chapter 2 on this, and then we can start into chapter 3 following that. So we'll definitely get chapter 2 finished up next New Op Day. So with that, everybody, go out there and just be appreciative of those around you, everyone, your coworkers, your family, your children, your parents, your taxi driver, your Lyft driver. I mean, just your superiors, your bosses, everybody that you come in contact with. Appreciate them for what they do for you. Don't criticize them about anything, and just appreciate them and see how much of a difference it makes just in your day to day. It will just make a big difference in you, in your personal day to day, even if it doesn't really create anything out there happening that's hugely visible to you as a difference. Just think about how it makes you feel doing this on this day. And if you like it, maybe you might want to continue doing it. So with that, we're going to end today as we always do. O universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom with which to make better riches of the better use of the riches given to me at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire. Everybody go out, have a great new op day, and we'll see you back.